welcome to It's Beyond Me podcast. I'm your host, Freddie T.
And Drift Nasty.
And today we're going to discuss the red pill. I know a lot of people hear the red pill and they think, it's the Matrix. It's easy. It's either blue pill or red pill. I mean, we all think there's only two categories, but actually there's three. You got blue pill.
Now, the blue pill is effectively made up of all of these happy and hopeful ideas.
You got red pill.
So the three main red pill belief systems are: number 1, the looks red pill; 2, the status and money red pill; and 3, the game red pill.
And you got black pill.
Now, the black pill is based on 3 fundamental ideas. All 3 of these ideas must be true for the black pill to hold up. If you only believe in 2 of these 3, then you are not black pilled. The first pillar is hypergamy. This means that women only want to date up in terms of value. So as a man, what do you bring to the table? And if what you bring to the table is less than what the woman brings, then she would have no reason to see you as a potential dating option. The second pillar is looks. The importance of looks in dating. And you've probably heard of the term leagues used before. So a guy might say, "Oh, that girl was out of my league." This is where quite a few people end up disagreeing, is inflexibility. So it is exceptionally difficult to move up in terms of your league. This is taken one step further because of the 7 genetic things that you cannot change about your looks. These are being short, having an ugly face, balding, having a bad frame, lack of inches, being old, and your ethnicity.
For the most part, these days, the red pill has taken over because blue pill is considered pretty much fairy tale. Black pill is kind of ridiculous because it only concentrates on really your looks. And red pill is the moneymaker that everybody's going in for because pickup artists and everybody pushes it because it all concentrates on money, looks, and prestige, and everything ridiculous, to be honest.
Too many red pill alpha guru types take advantage of attachment issues to score cash from wounded men and encourage them to embrace their attachment wounds even further. It turns into a cult of people convinced their wounds are sacred truths.
I mean, to a certain degree, I feel like everybody falls under each maybe 2 or 3 categories, because there's a positive in each of them. It's just you have to find what it is. And, you know, the problem that's there is the people that boost it. I mean, we got the Kevin Samuels. He's no longer with us. God bless his soul. But at the end of the day, some of the stuff he said, it was true. It did make sense. It was about knowing, you know, your actual worth.
Yeah.
I think that women in my generation, especially people who want to be married and have successful relationships, have a lot to learn and a lot to gain from the things that you say, but get so caught up in maybe what comes off as insulting or, I don't know, intimidating, that they miss the rest of what they would otherwise agree with or see as valuable information.
Okay. It's meant to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your generation has been told you can have everything and there are no limits.
Mm-hmm.
And your world is your oyster. It's called a pattern interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to shock you and get your attention to realize that, guess what? You've been lied to. If the media messages have been telling women, don't worry about it, postpone marriage, later, and you can do whatever you want, so on and so forth. Why do you think that message exists? Because 1, it keeps more consumers in the market. 2, women spend more than men. The messages are for the 73% of women who spend the dollar. So I get it. The message is shocking. It's because you guys are more asleep than any other generation.
And he was calling out some women for the fact that some of the stuff that people ask for is ridiculous because, you know, we're in a society where the young people have been told that the world is their oyster. They will get everything they put their eyes and their mind to. It'll all be given to them, which is a lie. You have to work for everything you get.
I think what he was trying to do was to undo, like this, like you were saying, like basically a mindset that's been put into place about how women can get anything that they want just off the fact that they're women, right? And I mean, that's kind of on the guys too, because most guys want to give whatever to women just because of the way that they look and things like that. So that's where that comes from. But then women ran with that, and they think that even your average person is supposed to have everything handed to them. So I think he was just kind of like trying to undo that and be like, you need to be more realistic with, you know, what value you have for yourself. Like, what is the value that a man is going to see in you type ordeal. I do agree mostly with what he says as far as the red pill thing. I was like kind of on the Andrew Tate train for a while there. I still agree with some of what he said, but I think that the more that I listen to him, it's more of like a damage kind of thing. Like he somewhere in the line got hurt by a woman, and then he was just like, I'm not gonna put myself through that anymore. And I feel like that's what a lot of these red pill dudes have going on. It's like bruised egos that they never bounce back from, and they're like, oh, well, a woman ain't gonna get me like that from now on. I'm gonna make sure I got the upper hand. And then that's the way that they function. They think that money is what makes them a man. That's not what makes a man a man. I mean, yeah, it's part of it as far as being a provider. Yeah, being a protector is, and that's another thing that Andrew Tate, you know, always said or whatever was, you know, protecting your woman. Yes, true, but not to the point to where you're looking at her like she's
a piece of property.
Yeah, your property, and she's there just to be your maid, to clean up behind you and for you to sleep with whenever you get the urge. Like, there's more to a woman than that also.
The thing is, you know, every pill has its own benefits. The blue pill concentrates mainly on intimacy, on all the good stuff. It's like the Disney Channel of relationships. But then you move on to the red pill, which is more like the everyday man who's been scarred, stepped on, spit out by society. So the problem that's there with that pill is it concentrates on your value, your social standing, and your volume. Pretty much what makes a high value man in the red pill community is you got the flashy car, a lot of money, status, and majority of the guys who are in there, not to be mean to them, but they only attract really gold diggers and sugar babies.
Just like how Kevin Samuel said that you had to have value as a woman, it's the same thing as a man. If you're all your value, because basically what you're portraying is what people are going to see as your value. So if you're portraying that you're a wealthy man and you got money and you don't mind spending it, and you know that kind of thing, and then you're all of a sudden shocked that you attract gold diggers, well, I mean, what did you expect?
Because the difference with what made Andrew Tate so significant to me compared to all the other guys was he didn't put it as that's your value. He put it as, when he would say it, he would always say that it's self-improvement. He said no matter what you do, self-improvement is always key. Yeah. And at the end of the day, he wasn't wrong. You should do it for self-improvement. But the problem is the way it's made so important in the red pill community, and from what I have seen, because honestly, to people, I don't really agree with red pill to that extent, because I look at it like 3/4 of the people that fall into this community are a bunch of incels who can't pull no girl, even if the pussy was right in front of them and it was being thrown into their face. Like, honestly, it's a bunch of guys that live in their parents' basements that have $5,000, $6,000, and they flush it away, paying to be taught how to pick up a girl, or to be taught to just say hi. Exactly. These are the type of dudes that if they touch the girl, they'll probably bust in their pants type of stuff. It's kind of sad to me, because I look at them and I'm like, sorry, man. Like, at the end of the days, I listen to Fresh and Fit and all them, and I mean, I'm not dogging what they do, to each his own, because you know what? Some people do need help, and they're doing.
But they're not helping.
They're doing a public service, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like these guys are helping. I feel like what they're doing is taking advantage of these guys.
Yeah, they're taking advantage to get their money, and they're not helping them, because no woman in their right mind would listen to what they say and be like, oh yeah, I want that guy, unless it's a gold digger. Pretty much what they're saying is that if you have money, well then the women will come, right? Okay, but you're not going to attract the right kind of women. Their love advice or whatever, or like pickup lines, the way that you approach women, the way you're supposed to behave toward women. A woman in her right mind who ain't just after money, who's after something more, who knows her worth and value, isn't going to go for that.
Reservation for Donovan Sharp. How do you pronounce your name, by the way? Adalia. Adalia?
Yes. Can't figure it out. It was recent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're ready to order. Okay, so she is going to do for appetizer. She's going to go with the wood-grilled corn, aged cheddar, spiced bacon. For dinner, she's going to go with the field green salad and the wood-grilled Maine lobster tail. I am going to go with the lobster bisque for appetizer, and then I'm going to go with the lamb loin, kind of crusted lamb loin. Medium. Mm-hmm.
You see this guy go on a date with his girlfriend. To me, it's kind of weird because I look at this guy and I'm like, okay, you opened the door for it. That's cute. That's what you're supposed to do.
Chivalry.
Chivalry is not dead. Okay. Then we go over there. I just find it cringy when a guy goes out on a date with a woman and he's over here choosing what she eats, making her, it's
Just
like,
being
dude,
controlling
being controlling to that extent.
Time.
And then on top of that, if you look at what he says, I mean, he says, start some small talk with the hostess and
flirting.
Life flirting.
Who would have heard that and then been like, oh, he's flirting with me? Nobody. It was like a general question. I would ask somebody, how do you pronounce your name, if I didn't know how to pronounce your name. That doesn't mean that I'm flirting with you. But that's what you were talking about with the incel thing. Like, these are people who think that what they're doing is like real interaction, flirting, like that it's going somewhere with the opposite sex, and it's not.
And then the saddest part about it is the really cringy part of the whole video is I'm watching it. She can't have no eye contact with the waiter. Okay, I would have, if I was the waiter, I was about to ask her, like, have you been kidnapped?
And then
Seriously.
that goes back to that thing about the bruised ego, because he obviously was hurt in the past, and then now he has these unrealistic expectations that he wants his woman to have in public. That way he feels secure of like, oh, she's not looking to go to another man or something. He can't even have a conversation at the restaurant.
This is the type of guy that doesn't even go to use the restroom to freshen up or anything during the day because he's scared that some other guy's going to come up and
talk to her and treat her like how a human should be treated, not just like a piece of property.
He's probably the type of guy that wears a Tens during the whole day just so he can piss himself and shit on himself so he doesn't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's disturbing. And like I said, no realistic woman that actually cares about anything other than money, because women will put up with a lot just to be able to get your money. If it's a woman who isn't on that type of thing, well, she's not going to go for somebody like that. And I wouldn't, being a pushover is never good. Women don't like to be with somebody who they could push over, say. But at the same time, like, they don't want to be with somebody who just controls every aspect of their life. Like, I personally feel like my husband, I feel like, is more closer to the blue side. And they have this whole list of crap of what each one says. But basically, the blue side is the guy who's more in tune with feelings and like takes those kind of things into consideration, what we would call being in touch with your feminine side. He's not a feminine man, but that's, for lack of a better term,
it's like a person who believes that you're gonna find that one person in your life, which to me I feel is true, because you know what, I dated a whole bunch of different girls,
but it's more than
from
that.
Different backgrounds. And no, the reason I say this is you're gonna find that one person, and I went through in this relationships where sometimes it just, no matter how much I tried to make it work, it didn't work. And when I stopped searching, I found my wife. She was just right there in front of me. I just happened to, and I'll be honest to everybody, I was even trying the online dating thing. I had joined this group, and I was about to delete this Facebook group, and
I was too, because there was a bunch of weirdos on there.
Yeah, lo and behold, this girl posts in there, and she's like, "Oh, hey," and we started talking, and we went from talking one day to talking 2 days to talking every night, and now down the line, look at it, we're married, and it's all going great. But I look at people and I say, you know what? That's not everybody's cup of tea, and I understand that. But my problem with the red pill situation is they concentrate on monetary things. They concentrate on superficial things. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, they all things that don't lead to a real relationship.
Exactly.
And they all, when you really look at the whole stereotype, it's all about you look good. It's like a whole bunch of Johnny Bravos running around thinking that they can pick
and
up
some
girls.
Women don't like that. Some women don't like a flashy guy that just wants attention. Some women don't like men that have really nice hair and take a lot of time into their looks. They like rugged.
A lot of girls don't want a guy who's going to spend more time in the mirror than they are.
Yeah, I mean, there are some who like it. There's preferences for everybody, because that's what gets me with this whole pill breakdown. You have to have a balance somewhere. If you don't have a balance, then things are going to be off for you. You have to have a balance of all of it. If you want it to be something serious that goes somewhere, you have to have balance in life. It doesn't matter what the topic is. So this whole, we got the red here, blue down here, blacks in the middle. You need to be in, all of that needs to have some kind of balance in you. So that's what you were talking about earlier with you think everybody's got some
I think
of it.
Everybody's got a bit of each in them. Red pill really concentrates on gender roles, which is true. It does believe in traditional gender roles. And that's what they try because the problem with society these days is everybody wants to be classified under a certain title. Everybody wants to be his, they, them, that, this, that, trans,
but don't want gender roles.
Gender roles, everybody wants to be under some type of one of the 75 genders that we have right now. Hell, we never know; it might turn into 80 by the end of the year. But the whole situation is everybody wants a label. Now the problem with that is when it comes to relationships, everybody wants a label too.
There has to be a leader and there has to be a follower because that is what makes the balance in a household. And
that's where my problem when people say non-binary is, so who in the relationship is going to take the dominant role?
Because you're going to run into a whole bunch of problems like that. There has to be somebody who's taking the lead and there has to be somebody who's following. That I understand as traditional roles, but I will say red pill kind of takes it too far. Like, their idea of what a gender role is super outdated in my opinion.
Their idea of a high value man is ridiculous as it is.
All right, the age-old question. Why do girls like bad boys? Guys, it boils down to one thing. Bad boys always put themselves first, women second. When you're a bad boy, you always put your needs first over a woman's, and that is inherently attractive to women because women know deep down, instinctually, they are not leaders.
I mean, we've got the superstars of the red pill community, and all of them have done something that just, to me, makes me question their masculinity.
Exactly. Like, all of them. Shoot. And, I mean, you hear them saying stuff like, oh, well, we don't want a woman who's had multiple sex partners. You having no sex. Like, that's what makes you desirable. Yeah. But, listen, hear me out. Like, I feel like men who feel that way only feel that way because they feel like, oh, well, if she hasn't had experience, then I'm going to rock her world either way, right? Like, you're probably not even good at it.
And that's what
so you want somebody who's unexperienced.
I believe that wholeheartedly because I look at all those guys and I say, this is the part that cracks me up. You hear about all these high value guys that consider themselves high value. But I look at a lot of superstars out there and I question what they're saying because this is my problem. When I look at a lot of musicians, it's like they all screwing the same girls over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And majority of those girls on the side, they over here hooking up with IG models and porn stars and all this. And I'm looking at them like, all those women they hooking up with on the sides and wherever, they all have high numbers, high body counts. So at the end of the day, for them to come over here and say, oh, well, I don't want a girl with a high body count. Bro, your body count is at 1,000 as it is. You can't be over here and say that.
But there's a double standard with it, because all those red pill guys be like, oh, well, my woman can't cheat on me, but I can go out and cheat on her because that's my right as a man. So there's a lot of the things that red pill push that's basically just
misogynistic.
Yeah, it's misogynistic, and it's downgrading the women.
You have to really look at it as that the red pill. I mean, they chose the red pill using the whole Matrix situation to try and say that by going red pill, you're waking up, you're awake to what's going on around you. That's the selling point, right? And then once you get into it, then they're talking about, oh, you want to do self-improvement, so you want to concentrate on working out, what you eat, what you do, all this other stuff. And I see a lot of these guys, you know, the Donovan Sharps, the Fresh and Fit, and, you know, Kevin Samuels, I give the man props. The man actually used to care about the way he dressed, the way he conducted himself around people. But the rest of these, like Donovan Sharp and Fresh and Fit and all them, I'm just being honest. Half of y'all look dusty. Yes, you might have a nice car. Yes, you might have this. But the majority of what you're selling is just a dream that half of y'all haven't even attained yet. And then in Fresh and Fit's term, they've gotten it. I'll give them props. I'm not gonna knock them. They're making their money. They're doing their thing. But at the same time, it's like, bro, you guys are just pulling sugar babies. That's pretty much one step up from dating an escort. I mean, you're pretty much just paying for everything you'll get.
Exactly. You're just attracting women who want to spend your money.
And realistically,
and they're mad about it. Then you're gonna talk down on all women like they're all like that. No, it's just what you attract because that's obviously what you want.
Because I'm just being honest. All these so-called high value men who they go for this type of girl and that type of girl, and the girl has to be like this. At the end of the day, dude, you're just paying for the girl's time. You're pretty much, it's just another form of prostitution. I'm just being honest, y'all. And it's weird to me because that's how they're selling it, because that's how they're treating their women. They're treating them like property, like you're just buying time, and they're supposed to be there to while up your time because you're the one paying.
Big Ack is here now. That's facts. And say somebody.
2 hours later.
We are going to the all we are. Ain't no nigga got no more money than me. I gotta respect the game. Here it is. Stop this shit. What's that, man? I'm the nigga. Y'all niggas come in here. Y'all shit nigga like me, bro. That shit too. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Without me, ain't no shit happening out in this nigga. You wanna get specific? You wanna get specific, nigga? Nigga, I'm a fucking riot.
This is what's being pushed, and this is what's being said to be healthy. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to remove, and you know, Kevin Samuel said it right. You know, they want to remove the gender roles, because at the end of the day, if the gender roles are removed, and if women are single, they're out there spending money on things that they don't really need. Because if everybody is trying to settle down and slow down, then you're spending less and less money.
They're trying to, I think that the bigger point is that they're trying to just tear down the family system. If the woman is out working and the man is out working, there's no time for y'all to actually raise a kid. Or if a woman's like, oh, well, if I have a kid, then it's going to take away from me making money. It's like, then the kid is like a roadblock in a way. And then there's nobody at home doing the feminine job. Like, femininity, I think, is what's really at stake. You have these people who claim about feminists and all that, and it's not really, all that is anti-masculinity when you really listen to it, but that's not what femininity is about. That's about a balance between those.
And the problem that's there is that by removing the family aspect of everything, people don't find happiness. So they're going to keep on spending money in order to search for happiness. Every single market makes money. Hence, look at Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
People spend money on Valentine's. More people spend money on Valentine's Day and do things that they should be doing for the significant other all through the year.
Yeah, just at random. That's what I was talking about in another video too. Like, that's all holidays. It's just, it's a time of year that they know for sure that they're going to sell certain things, or certain things are going to boom, because most of the people, whenever you go down the rabbit hole, as so to say, most of the same companies or the same people run all these things, right? Like, if even though there's somebody who runs this store, well, then or we'll say corporation. Yeah. Because then there's other people who own that, you know what I mean? So it all goes back to somebody else's pocket. So there's certain times of year where they really want the money to hit. So if somebody just throughout the year just did things out of generosity and the kindness of their heart for their partner, well, then, you know, Valentine's Day wouldn't make as much money as it does for that one day. But see, it gets looked at as like a weakness when you actually want to do something for your partner, because it's being pushed down your throat. Well, you're supposed to be selfish. It's all about what you can get before they take it all. Or, you know, it's kind of odd.
It's pretty much the society we live in right now. It's use them before they use you.
Exactly.
What they pushing is for men to act like pretty much females, to be all in their feelings about stuff and
no, it's not. No,
I don't know what to call it,
because that would be what they would say about blue pills, but that's not what being.
But blue pills are not.
But that's what they would say, because they're in touch with their emotions and stuff like that. It's basically saying, like, you don't need to worry about your partner. Like, you don't have to take them into consideration if it's a woman, because most of the red pills are men. Yeah, you got your exceptions of women, but for the most part, red pills are men. And they don't want to take into consideration what a woman wants. It's all about what they want, because it's a man's world. That is what the red pill, and you know, the whole pill thing, I feel like kind of got perverted, like it got twisted, because, like, okay, referring to the Matrix movie and how he's like red pill, blue pill.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Want to know what it is. You take the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You have to see it for yourself.
That's the sense of life. It has nothing to do with relationships. It's like, are you going to face the reality of what's going on, or are you going to be oblivious and just go about things how, you know, like, however you see fit, not actually what it is. So that's what the red pill, blue pill was supposed to be, as far as what the Matrix is. Now they're trying to take that for this crap, red pill, black pill, blue pill. And really all it is like your character. Are you a man who's going to be overly controlling and doesn't want your woman to be able to have a life whatsoever? Are you going to be a man who thinks that, well, a woman's looks, if a woman looks good, well, then she must be good to be a wife. It has nothing else to do with that. Or are you going to be the kind of person who's going to take into consideration a person's character, their kindness, things like that? Like, that's pretty much what they're trying to call red, black, and blue pill. But like I said, there has to be a balance of that, whether it's man or woman, if it's going to work. If you're going to be an actual realistic person and you're not going to really try to lean one way, sway one way or the other because of what society is trying to tell you needs to be pushed at the moment for whatever agenda. Like, let's be real, there's always a reason in the background. These things aren't flashed in front of you for no reason. So if it's not going to be like that, and then you're going to be a realist about it, well, then that's when you should go back to the Matrix video. It's just, it was perverted.
Well, the thing is, if you look at all these so-called red pill gurus, right? And you actually look into all of them, they all don't, whatever they're selling is not how they're living their life.
Exactly.
It's just sad to say. I mean, we rag on rappers and singers who
they do it too.
Who do it too.
They'll get in their music and then tell you, oh, you don't need a man, you don't need this, all you need to do is go out and make money. And even though, yeah, they do make money, they find time to find them a man. Yeah. They want a man. You have the same thing for men. Oh, I don't want to wife her up or love her, I just want to get sex from her. But if the right person come around, whatever it is that they're looking for in that woman, they're going to wife her up.
Or they tell you, like in this whole situation with Donovan Sharp and them, he said that he would never date a woman that has kids. And boom, he's with a woman that has kids. It makes no sense. It's literally on some psychopath type of stuff. Because you over here telling a woman that, oh, you can't go and hang out with your friends and go to a concert because you don't date women that go to concerts, right? You're over here saying that you can't go over here with your phone. If you go into the bathroom with your phone, then you're probably on Tinder swiping on some dick. Or you're probably talking to your ex.
Donovan Sharp pretty much sums up red pill in general.
He does. I mean, I will give him props. He is very red pill.
That's not nothing to be proud of.
Undeniably. But at the same time, I look at it and I say to him, yeah, he's very red pill. He's very
it's not
insecure.
Yeah.
He's very
overly insecure. He's been hurt. He's a simp.
He's a simp.
And then he's trying to overcompensate for his simpness by acting like he's the king, and he's not. He's been run over a time or two. He's giving his money to a chick. And this chick was way younger than him. Done ran off on the plug. All of that junk more than once. And then you're gonna get up here on TV and these interviews and stuff with people, and then act like you the man, and that what you say goes. Ain't no woman gonna get over on you, but she did though.
And then listen to the story that he tells about him in his 30s. Mind you, he's in his 30s when he tells this story. He says he was in his 30s, he was taking a class, and he fell for a 19-year-old.
Or when we say all women are like that, we're not saying that all women are the same, right? When we say all women are like that, what we really mean is that most women, actually, you know what? I'll just go ahead and say 99.9% of women, they operate the same way within the construct of relationships with persons of the opposite sex. This doesn't mean that everybody is the same. No, but women operate very similarly, and that's kind of what this whole community is predicated on. Most American modern women, they have tattoos. A lot of them have children out of wedlock. A lot of them have exorbitant body counts, et cetera, et cetera. You don't appear to have any of those things. And I'll tell you this, let's just say in some alternate universe that you had a 75 body count. There is precious little evidence of that in front of us. I say all the time, dude, ladies, lie about your body count. Lie your ass off. But if you tell a guy that you've banged 7 guys, you better act like you've banged 7 guys. Story is, it's absolutely crazy. To make a very long story very short, I started paralegal school when I was 31 years old, and there's this hot 19-year-old in my class. We took a shine to each other immediately, right? It was a great relationship. We spent every day together, blah, 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 blah. Red flag number 1 that I didn't even think about. One day, I had a headache in class because I suffer from migraines, and she recognized that. She says, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, I've got a headache." She's like, "All right." Reaches into her purse, and she gives me this big white pill. I'm like, "What is that?" She says, "It's Vicodin." And I was like, all right. So I took the Vicodin, headache is gone. What's a 19-year-old doing with a bag full of Vicodin, right?
She's a drug dealer, right?
No problem at all. Red flag number 2, she had homemade tattoo on her wrist, right? Told me she got it when she was 15. Hold on. Red flag number 3. Stay with me. Red flag number 3, she had a 6-year-old. She was 19 years old who had a 6-year-old, which means what class? She had her child at 13, which means she was having sex at 12. It gets even better. The baby daddy was in prison at the time we were dating.
Oh,
statutory EPAR. She left her account open on my computer on Facebook. I scrolled through, saw all kinds of stuff, drove to her place. I said, "I want you to be honest with me. Have you cheated on me?" I wanted her to lie to me. And I wanted her to lie to me so I could just keep up the delusion. She said, honestly, yes. Then she turns around, lifts up her shirt. There was my name tattooed on the small of her back. Dude, my hand to the man. So I was back in her clutches. It was all downhill from there. Guys, this story gets so much worse.
How old were you?
I was 31. I was 31 years old. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say 17.
Oh, no. She continued cheating on me, right? So I'm always trying to catch her. I lost my job. I lost the place that I was at. The car that I had was paid for because I paid cash for it. It broke down. I didn't have a job, so I couldn't get it fixed. I'm evicted. I ended up having to live with a couple of her drug addict friends in a quasi crack house. I called her up the next day. I was like, "Hey, meet me at this gas station." Then I called up my brother, and I borrowed $800. He gave me $800. I went to the jewelry store. I bought her a ring, proposed to her.
I proposed. Listen, I'm telling you. Listen, it gets worse. So she says yes, right? So now, all of her friends are like, oh, she's getting engaged. Well, eventually she started fucking the baby daddy behind my back.
Of course.
So we were in this love triangle. My brother comes out into this quasi crack house, and he's kind of looking around, and they're all looking up at him like, that's your brother? And of course we look alike. And so I'll never forget, man. I'm telling my brother about the situation. He's like, my real name's Alex. He says, Alex, what are you doing? And I said to him, dude, you don't choose who you love. I still loved her. So now I've lost her forever. So now I'm doing drugs and all this other kind of stuff. During the time I was living at that quasi crack house, they were telling me, yeah, she f***ed this guy, that guy. Now she's in jail, right? And of course, I have to save my fair maiden. I called up an old roommate and borrowed $1,350 to bail her out.
And she gave him a run for his money.
And so you were telling us you got game run on you by a female,
and your feelings got hurt.
Who
so
is
now the way
19, who is still got teen to her age,
and your feelings got hurt, and so now the way that you treat all women has to do with that relationship in specific. But her ego from men.
You're missing what he said, because it was funny because people didn't catch on. He says on one of his videos, he says, don't date a woman that has kids and all this other stuff, right? Then on that one, he's telling us on just pearly things, he says he fell for a 19-year-old that had a kid that he claimed was from EPAR, but she said it wasn't. Okay. And then on top of that, he says she was a heroin addict. People don't understand is when you really listen to all his stories, this is where people fail to understand. A lot of red pill guys are damaged souls. Mm-hmm. And I do
And they're taking it out on the opposite sex from previous stuff. That's what I just said.
They're guys who are moving around with baggage, emotional baggage, and have never gotten over it.
Because emotions are bad, and so they don't want to get in touch with them. They don't want to address them. They just shove them down real deep and think that they go away, but it affects all their relationships in the future. The way that they view the opposite sex, the way they treat the opposite sex, and ultimately it's going to affect the way that the opposite sex treats you and views you. So, I mean, now, don't act like you're surprised when that's your mindset.
Do I say in some of the stuff that these guys say, there is some wisdom here and there? Of course, because it's all from experience, half of the stuff. But at the same time, some of the stuff they're selling is at such an extreme because that's the card they're playing, suit of armor on, so their heart can never be stabbed by anybody. And they're strong. It's pretty much that's what it is. And it's just sad to me because I look at people and I say it's unrealistic. At the end of the day, people need to fess up, put on your big boy pants. You're gonna fall. You're gonna get your heart broken. That's part of life. These days, kids are being taught that when you play sports, everybody gets time to play. Nobody sits on the bench. Everybody gets an award. Nobody's a failure. And that's the problem that's there, is that's what people are expecting throughout life. People are not learning that, in life, you're gonna fall. It's about how you pick yourself up and keep on going that matters. It's about the fact that in relationships, all your past relationships lead to the relationship you have now. In that, you learn what works and what doesn't work. You learn about the art of compromise, because that's what a relationship ends up being, is at the end of the day, y'all got to meet each other halfway. It can't always be your way. Now, the problem with the red pill society is it all says that everything has to be your way. If you're a dude, it's your way or the highway. The blue pill is how I grew up. When I was growing up, we were always told that you're going to find that right person and it's going to be like butterflies in your stomach and everything's going to work out and you guys are going to meet each other, marry each other, and have a nice house with a white picket fence. That's how blue pill kind of sums everything up. That's why they call it Disneyland.
Everybody needs to change their point of view, change your morals, the things that you want out of life, what it is that you're looking for in a partner, and then we won't have these things. Like, the only reason why idiots, these incels that are doing red pill exist is because it obviously has somewhere in society to exist. So idiots are wanting to spend money to learn about relationship advice that doesn't work.
And it's funny as hell because these guys be spending thousands of dollars.
They're paying for another man to tell them how they should go out and socialize with women instead of just going out and socializing with women. Because a lot of people do this stuff on the computer or because, I mean, people are really detached.
A lot of dudes.
Everybody's on these computers and on the laptop or the tablet, cell phones. They're not interacting and they don't know how to talk to people anymore.
It's easier for them to text and be that Facebook gangster than be out there in real life and live life. Because you know what? When you're behind the screen, you can put any persona you want. When me and my wife finally went and saw each other, I was scared. I was like, man, I wonder if she's going to look anything like the way she looked when I spoke to her on FaceTime. I wonder if she's, maybe it was just, I've watched Catfish. And it could have been just a friend or somebody, It's that awkward moment, that breaking the ice, that finally getting to meet each other, that first kiss, first conversation. That's what makes the history of a relationship. That's what builds it up. But the problem is all these guys, they just want instant gratification. So you start expecting that, I'm going to get laid on the first date because society expects you to be that dog as like anything because they reward that. That's what they expect from you. When you're a certain age, you're expected to be, when I was in my 20s, I wasn't expected to settle down. I was expected to be promiscuous, to be all over the place, and to be partying. When you get your 30s, they expect you to be slowing down because it makes sense because technically it's something an uncle of mine told me a long time ago, and so did a friend of mine who was older than me used to always tell me that how can you say you know what you want in life if you've never experienced life itself?
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with doing all that stuff when you're younger. That way it's out of your system. And then you've got all of the bull out the way to where you can actually focus on things that matter. Because then you could be like, oh yeah, been there, done that, but it didn't really do anything for me. And then you move on. And like, okay, when we were talking about our marriage video, that's what I was talking about with the younger ones that don't really last and stuff like that. It's because they get married at such a young age and they don't experience other things. And then they start wondering about, okay, well, what am I missing out on? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, like 30s is decent. I don't think 30s is bad for the whole settling down thing. If you settle down in your early 20s and your teens and stuff like that, I don't really feel like it's going to work out.
The everyday man on the street, you're going to love, you're going to get hurt, you're going to move on. Mm-hmm. That's how you know what life is.
It's experience.
You can't be scared to live life. It's like anything else. And that's the problem. You got a whole bunch of guys who are scared to live life and they hide behind certain things and they think, well, because when I was growing up, my dad used to always tell me, concentrate on studying and working hard, make money. Girls will follow. Because that's how he knew about it. He just thought like, you just make a crap load of money and everything else falls into place. That's why we ended up with this whole incel situation. You got some guys out there who are really nice guys, and if they actually made the push to actually go meet other people and actually tried relationships and were not scared to get hurt, they probably meet somebody and
not have to come out of pocket for advice on it. It's just people who are in their mom's basement and feel like they want to be somebody like Sneeko. That's what you end up with 9 times out of 10 with these whole red pill situations.
The thing that gets me about all these red pill guys, right, is I sit there and I listen to them and they talking about this and they try and say that, they live the swinger lifestyle and they like this. And then they like talking about like, oh yeah, they watch their girlfriends hooking up with other guys. I'm like, so dude, you're really sitting there like a cuck watching your girlfriend with another man.
And how you gonna call yourself a man's man and be, oh yeah, you're the provider, you're the head of the household, but you watch other people pipe down your old lady. There's nothing manly about that.
There's nothing manly about that. Like you can't please her, so somebody else has got to do the job for you.
While you watch it. Like you're a simp and a half. Most of these people are just simping.
We know that at this certain point, red pill is what they're selling as the new age man.
But it's not. I wouldn't read too much into it for any of you young people who are out there trying to figure out what to do. Don't read too much into it. Ain't no red pill dude going to tell you the right way to go. The money matters in terms of you being the provider of the family. Okay, yes, but money is not all.
Yep.
Protector of your family, yes, that matters. That's a value that a wife would want. That's where your strength and things come in. Yes, but it's not everything. And then yes, a woman does want somebody that's all of those things, but also can listen to her and takes her feelings into consideration and doesn't make her feel like she's less than just because she's a woman. So you got to find the balance. You don't need nobody, no muscle builder. You don't need no super rich billionaire to sell you a tape on how to do that. Just get out there and live life, and it's going to come to you naturally, because that's what we're made to do.
But you guys like and comment. It's another day with the It's Beyond Me podcast, and thank you for listening.